Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Truth on the Tracks. I'm Brandon Turbeville, your host. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time tonight, you can catch Truth on the Tracks here every Monday night and Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on UCY.TV. Tonight, I have a special guest with me. It's Reverend Edward Pinkney, and some of you who may know his name from other shows on the alternative media or from the crisis that's happening in Michigan right now. You've also probably heard his name through an article that I have done on the emergency manager's law some time ago for Activist Post. But before we get to Reverend Pinkney, I just want to remind everybody that you can find my work over at activistpost.com, theantimedia.org, Irrelevant Paradigm, Natural Blaze. And if you're interested in my work specifically, then please go to brandonturbeville.com, which is the website where I repost all of my articles and all of the interviews that I do, all of the YouTube videos, all of that. There's an events page there, there's a books tab there, and you can find my books on that website as well. All of the relevant information is there at brandonturbeville.com. So we have Reverend Edward Pinkney on the show tonight, and Reverend Pinkney has been fighting a number of issues in Michigan, but specifically Benton Harbor, where he's from, whether it's the emergency manager situation, the little fascist dictator law that allows emergency managers to come in and just essentially make their own decisions and overthrow elected leaders and even kick the elected leaders out of their office. He's been fighting austerity policies in Benton Harbor. He's been fighting government corruption, and he's been fighting the Whirlpool Corporation and its minions in government. And he was recently rewarded for his efforts to fight against this type of corruption and this type of destruction of his community with a conviction on a number of charges which are relatively clearly trumped up, So we're going to talk to Reverend Pinkney in a second, but I would encourage you to go to his website. His website is bhbanco.org. So that's bhbanco.org if you would like to read about him and see what that organization's got going on and see how you can help him. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. Reverend Pinkney, welcome to the show.
Brandon, it is an honor and a privilege to be on your show. I'm excited to be here today and to be out of jail. That's the most important thing. And as you know, the fight continues. I'm excited today, Brandon. I'm just going to tell you just like it is. I'm excited to be on your show.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. And I really, when we have time, and I really want people to understand, what you've been fighting and how you've been doing it for so long, because this is not something that just happened recently. This has been a long fight for you. And just tell the listeners a little bit about what's been going on in Benton Harbor, at least since the emergency manager situation, and at least as far back as the Whirlpool involvement in Benton Harbor.
Absolutely. What I want to start with the uprising that we had in Benton Harbor in 2003. And the reason I want to start here, this is when everything actually started with the emergency manager and everything. During that period of time, we had Jennifer Granholm, who was a Democrat. See, what we have done, we have blamed everything on the Republican Party, but basically they're the same people. You see, they just got different masks on. You see, one thing I have learned to say, what we have done, we have put the mask on the wrong face and allowed other people to live while we're dying.
Right.
In 2003, we had an uprising. There was a young man by the name of Shern. We called him T-shirt. His bike was bumped in the back by the police officer, and he took off running on the thing. Actually, he had not done anything wrong, but they have a history of harassing people. That's what the police do. Their job is to serve and protect, but unfortunately, they believe they can do whatever they can to you. So the young man took off, and they went after him. But you got to remember, you can't outrun that radio, especially on that level. So another cop car came, he hit the back of his motorcycle and knocked him into this house, and it killed him instantly. And what it did, we was having a vigil for him, and they called out the sheriff department, the state police. They called out all law enforcement they can get to try to stop this vigil for this young man. They were trying to say he was a criminal for running, and yet still they're not a criminal for killing him. So what happened was they tried to stop this vigil, and it produced an uprising that they couldn't handle. That whole day it brought in the Jesse Jackson, the L. Sharptons, all the CNN, all the news media showed up, and it really wasn't a riot. It was just an uprising. One or two houses was on fire, and it made a big deal out of this. So then this brought in Governor Granholm. Governor Granholm came in with this song and dance, saying how much she was going to help the people that lived in Benton Harbor, and set up task forces like she actually was going to do something, and basically had no intention of doing anything. She came in here with a song and a dance. She started singing and everybody started dancing. So later on that day, after we realized she wasn't going to do anything, they came up with this idea about the emergency manager. You see, it was under her that the emergency manager came in. That was under Public Act 72. Public Act 72 didn't have a lot of teeth to it. But then they produced Public Act 4, which was, it gave the emergency manager absolute power. He could terminate the mayor position, fire him, all the elected officials, fire them. They could have a meeting. They could take notes. Then they had to end the meeting because they couldn't vote on nothing. But let me tell you when this emergency manager first came, what he did to the mayor. He took his desk, his beautiful desk, and took it and put it in the basement. Then what he did with the elected officials, the commissioners, he took their keys to the office. But that didn't really upset them. What upset them when they took their cell phone. You know you can't take a black person's cell phone. You take that cell phone, you in for a fight of your life. And this produced the fight of their life. Then they want to come and join me now. They want to come and join Reverend Pinkney. This is what they wanted to do. Now it's a whole different ballgame. We had a pretty decent mayor at that time. His name was Wilson Cook. He wasn't bought by the corporation. He realized that he had to take care of the people. The very next election, Wilson Cook lost the election by about 6 votes. We thought it was rigged. And then they brought in this mayor we have today. This mayor we have today is strictly a puppet for Whirlpool Corporation. Care nothing about the people. Care nothing about the city. Only thing he care about what he can get from Whirlpool. So here's what we did.
Is this Hightower that you're talking about?
James. Well, most people call him Hightower. We call him Low Tower. And other people call him No Tower. So you know, High Tower, Low Tower, No Tower. So you have a choice there. But what's even more important, it brought on a fight in the city that nobody would ever believe. You see, they went to work and we got out there, do a recall on this mayor. Here's the reason why. 90% of the people that work in the city of Benton Harbor do not live here. Whirlpool Corporation has more than 4,000 people at their home office. And Whirlpool paid no taxes at all. They don't pay water bill. They don't do anything. All they do is take from the city. So we was going to put an income tax on them. And the emergency manager, here's the good part. They allowed the commissioners to actually put that on the ballot. Whirlpool was mad at the emergency manager behind it, but the point was he was allowed to do it. So what they had to do now, they had to go out and spend money. They used this puppet of theirs to make commercials telling people that if if you approve the income tax, it's gonna raise your property tax, which is strictly he was lying through his teeth, and had other people working that. They used commercials and everything else, and they was working this thing. So by him not being truthful, we decided that he had to go. We started circulating a recall petition on him. And the wording on the recall petition for voting no against the income tax that would have brought revenue into our city. And we were successful at getting enough signatures and to put it on the ballot. Because everybody was saying, everybody, even his family was saying he had to go. He was just that bad. But here's what we did. We got all the signatures. Once we turned them in, the sheriff, well, let me say this. He warned the people. This low tower character went out and he told the people, made a tape of it. He said, if y'all recall me, if y'all attempt to recall me, I'm going to use all my resources, which is Whirlpool, the prosecutor office, the sheriff department, and the clerk. He said, I'm going to use my resources to stop y'all. And that's what he did. Soon as we turned in those petitions, the sheriff department went out kicking in people's doors, 3 deep for a recall petition. Make no sense. 3 officers armed in a car, knocking on each one of the people's door, asking them, did you sign this petition? And why did you sign it? They was going through the front and the back door. Matter of fact, they kicked one door down all the way in. Because he told them it's none of your business whether I signed it or not. If you see my name there, I signed it. Oh, they got mad. They kicked his door in. Threatened, put him in handcuffs, threatened to arrest him.
And this is just the petition signers, right? This is not even the organizers. Right. These are people, regular citizens who signed petitions.
Right. This is just the people who signed the petitions. And this went on for close to 4 months. They was doing people like this. And finally, April 24th, which was my wife's birthday, and I was taking her out to dinner, early dinner for her birthday. But before I can get to our destination, where we was going to eat, the phone was jumping off the hook. They had surrounded my house. The SWAT team. We talking about 35 to 40 officers blocking the streets. Nobody could get in their house. Nobody could come out of their house. Nobody. If they would arrest you if you attempted to come out of your house. In other words, they had called martial law right here.
Right.
You could not. Matter of fact, even if it was an emergency, you couldn't get out. You would just stay in your house. And this is what was going on. And they would look. Here's the good part. Knowing that they had blocked out all the streets, surrounded my house, got you know how they had them rifles and snipers all around here? They had them everywhere. We got like across the street there's a housing complex. And what was they was all behind the bushes with their rifles and going through, looking all through my window. But fortunate for me, I wasn't at home. they used all that firepower, and I always laugh about it. I said, see, I'm one up on y'all. See, before you do a raid, make sure the person at home. I mean, what kind of raid? I mean, what kind of law enforcement is this? Go raid your house and they know, and they haven't even checked whether you at home or not.
And again, this is all over a petition. This is not like you were suspected of going out on a shooting rampage. You were organizing a petition and signing petitions.
This is a petition. I mean, this is what really puzzled me. What if I was at home? I mean, what if I would have been at home? What would they have done? Maybe how he got a gun and tried to shoot me or something?
Probably, yeah.
That's the only thing that's the scary part of this whole situation. You know, if they're willing to say that you can't come out your house, nobody can come up the street. They had the streets completely blocked off. They had the school down the street, locked down on the school, everything for one person over a recall petition. But here's what we did. After we got through eating dinner, me and my wife, I had to finish eating dinner. You know that, cause she would have been mad at me then. So I'd rather for them to be mad at me than her. And so we finished dinner. So we goes to the attorney's office. He calls the prosecutor office, and the prosecutor tells him, "We got a warrant for Reverend Pinkney arrest, 5 felony charges and 6 misdemeanor charges. Forgery." When he said forgery, I'm in shock. I said, I haven't signed anybody's name. Something about the dates. I said, okay, well, let's, I turn myself in on Monday. Cause remember, it's a recall petition. Oh no. The prosecutor said, absolutely not. We're going to get you tonight. My attorney said, not living. You probably going to get him tonight. And he said, well, we're going to be looking. And here's the thing. They was driving up and down the street all night long looking for me, looking for my car. They pulled over a guy who had a car similar to mine and want to know where I was. He said, I don't know. How would I know where he is? You know, and all this crazy stuff. And remember, this is over a recall petition all night long. You know how they be driving through the streets in this big truck full of the SWAT team and stuff looking for me? They was all over the city trying to locate me. I didn't come home, so they staked out my house, a real police stakeout, and they said he got to come in. He may try to come in the back way, That's what they were thinking, Oh, they had the whole community blocked off. Nobody can come in their house. Nobody. All this time. Now listen. So now here we go. The next day, I turn myself in. I go before the judge, and the judge talking. This is the worst crime I have ever witnessed. This is what the judge is saying. He said, this is a hideous crime. I've never seen anything like this before. Who would believe that someone would do something like this? This is terrible. I'm trying to figure out what he's talking about. So he goes on about 15, 20 minutes telling me how terrible I am. I'm the worst person that has ever lived in the history of mankind. And my attorney kept saying, it's a recall petition, mister. And he goes on and on. I said, well, I wanted to go take a seat until he get through, because I knew I never knew for a moment that he was long-winded like that. But anyway, when we get to the point, the first thing he set bond at $30,000 for a recall petition. Then he said that I could not get on the internet. My wife could not get on the internet. And we could not have the internet in our home. Never heard of. Then he said that I would be under house arrest 24/7. And I was going to be monitored by a satellite up in the sky. Who would believe it over a recall petition?
Yeah, they stuck the ankle bracelet on you, right?
Right. So I had, matter of fact, this is supposed to be one of them high-tech ones, where they can, if whatever room I go in my house, they know I'm in that room. You see, if I went to the bathroom, they knew I was in the bathroom. If I went to the garage, they knew I'm in the garage. Then they had a squad car every 30 minutes passing the house. And remember this, Brandon, this is a recall petition. You see, I'm so glad that I didn't kill nobody, because I know it'd been terrible. But look, here's the thing. I'm under house arrest. Probably about 40 days. Not able to use the internet or anything. And we get ready, we go to court. They call it a preliminary examination when the prosecutor produced their evidence. So we're sitting up there. All this time, the thing must have lasted about 5 hours. We still waiting for the prosecutor to present his evidence that Pinkney did something wrong. He brings in this forensic guy. The forensic guy goes through this motion. He's talking. He's saying that 2 inks was used, and it really doesn't mean anything because the person who signed the petition, most likely maybe used a different pen, maybe used 2 different pens, ran out of ink. So we get to the end of his whole conversation, and we ask him, "Can you tell us who, if the dates were changed the dates?" He said, "No." "Can you tell us when it was changed?" He said, "No." "Is it possible the person who signed the petition changed it?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Could you tell us what Reverend Pinkney did?" He said, "No." So we said, "What are you doing here then? You're a waste of time." So after it was over, the prosecutor says, he gets up, he said, "We don't have any evidence at all that Reverend Pinkney did anything. But let's let a jury decide." That didn't make no sense. So the judge echoed the same identical thing. He said, "Let's let a jury decide." And most likely it was going to be an all-white jury. They kind of like know that. And we're living in a town that they're still hanging nooses and burning crosses. This is how it is in the city of Benton Harbor. And nobody ever get arrested for stuff like that here because they're all working together. So we decided, we appealed it. They said the same thing, well, let the jury decide it because we don't know whether Pinkney did it or not. Well, can't know whether, if there's nothing was done, there's no evidence that anything was done. So here's the deal. On October 27th, which was my birthday, see how they raided the house on my wife's birthday, and they took me to trial on my birthday. I guess they was trying to send me a message that we're going to make these days bad days for you. But unfortunately, they wasn't. They were good days. Because I'm glad actually, I'm kind of glad they did this. So the world can see what we up against. See, a lot of times people don't understand the whole fight. And it's not about Reverend Pinkney. See, people always, well, it's about Reverend Pinkney. But it's not about Reverend Pinkney. It's not about me. It's about the people. It's the haves against the have-not. It's rich against poor. And then you have the gatekeepers working for them. So we go to court on October 27th. They called 8 witnesses in. You would think that those are our witnesses. We turned their witness in, our witness. They did not one person could say that Reverend Pinkney did anything wrong. It was a shameful display. The prosecutor was mad and angry because I don't know what he was expecting them to say. They wasn't going to get up there and lie and say, well, Pinkney, I saw Pinkney do this or Pinkney did that. No way were they going to do that. So now it's a very, very sad day for the prosecutor. Major victory for the people. The next day, he calls about 25 witnesses in. The ones who actually signed the petition. Everybody who he talked to told the prosecutor that I signed the petition on that day. One lady didn't even know that there was going to be an issue with the ink. She had no idea. When the police came out and talked to her, she informed them, said, yeah, the pens kind of like stopped working and I just grabbed another pen. And she didn't have no idea that that they would be saying later on that there was 2 different inks. So he calls her a liar, basically what he was saying. You're lying. Pinkney had to do it. Nobody else would do this. Do what? So now all the witnesses all claiming that they signed it on that day. So he has no witness at all to testify that I did anything. Now he's really mad. He brings back the forensics guy. He tried to tell the forensics guy what to say, but he had already said what he's going to say, so you can't change what he said. He said that it's impossible to say that Pinkney did anything. Pinkney could not have done this. He was really mad. I testified. It was only on maybe 2 hours or so. Gave the prosecutor a good buck whooping. He asked he asked me the question. He said, I guess they had went out and white out one of the recall petitions and asked me, do this refresh my memory? When I said no, he had to go sit his butt down because it was over for him. Because why would that refresh my memory about anything? So anyway, it gets even better. On Friday, closing arguments, the prosecutor said, his exact words, we don't have any evidence that says Reverend Pinkney did anything wrong, but you could still find him guilty. And when he was shaking his head up and down to get them to nod, say yes, right? And he actually got them nodding their heads, and maybe that was the reason. My attorney came up and told him that, hey, look, there's absolutely no evidence, none. I don't even know why we're here. But we found out when the foreman came back, the very first thing she said was, count 1, guilty of forgery, felony, at least 5 years. Count 2, forgery, at least 5 years. Count 3, forgery, at least 5 more years. Count 4, forgery, 5 more years. Count 5, forgery, adding up to 25 years. But count 6, the misdemeanor charge, not guilty. Count 7, misdemeanor charge, not guilty. Count 8, 9, 10, 11, not guilty. So how could you be guilty of the top 5 and not guilty of the bottom 5? It made no sense. But we have discovered it may have been some jury tampering. I cannot give you that information at this time. We're only putting it together now, and we believe that we're on the right track right now. But who would believe all this for a recall petition? Nobody would believe that they would go to this extreme for a recall. They spent lots of money. They may have spent over $1 million in this investigation. Maybe over $1 million for a recall petition. But if the people don't stand up and say no more, this is what we're going to get. Somebody has to say enough is enough. Somebody's got to say this is a major attack on democracy. You see, and we need to change the way we do business. Until we do that, it's going to continue to be just like it is. So, Brandon, if you have some questions that you want to ask, just shoot them at me.
Yeah, I want to know, all right, so you're facing 25 years in prison over a recall petition. Are there, I don't know if you can even tell us this right now. Are there any plans to appeal the conviction?
Yeah, absolutely. There's not, for sure. And we got so many appeal options. I don't know. See, one of the things, I don't know where the appeal court care about no evidence. They only care about errors that was made. That's what I was thinking. And that's why they're able to get away with stuff like this. And they've been getting away with stuff like this for years. This stuff has just not started today or started with me. Let me tell you this quick one. There's a guy named Mario Allen, sent to prison for 45 years for not having ecstasy pills. He did not have them in his possession, did not even know about them. But yet and still, they found him guilty of having ecstasy pills in his possession, and he didn't have them. Now he's a young man in his 20s that's serving 45 years in prison and have to do all 45. There's no such thing as half of it or 2/3 of it. You got to do every single day. That's how they is in Michigan. So we're in a real fight here. This is no conflict, Brandon. This is the real deal, and they know what they're doing. They've been doing this forever. That's why I used to, what I do. I've been court watching for 15 years over there. Every single day I go there and sit in their courtroom and watch them. Watch every move they make. Document what they do. They hated that. And now they see an opportunity to body slam me if I allow it. But I have no intention of allowing them to do this, Brandon.
Well, it's good, and I'm glad you're continuing to fight and that you're going to appeal. But as you mentioned with the Mario Allen, you said his name was, this type of stuff happens all the time. I mean, you were targeted obviously for your political activities, but this kind of stuff happens constantly where people are set up or convicted on drug charges to fill up private prison industries and all that type of thing too, which is that's another story in its own right we could talk about for a while. But yeah, I'm glad you're continuing that fight. And so I mean, I would like for you to tell people also the situation with Whirlpool. There's this Benton Harbor is most definitely in an economic slump. It's been hit very hard with the economic depression that we're in, and essentially there's been collusion between corporations and government to take property that belongs to people in Benton Harbor through a number of different means and build up resort areas, golf courses, that type of thing, right?
Right, that is correct. And let me say this: we had Gene Clark Park. It was given to the residents of Benton Harbor in 1920 by the Clark family, whose daughter died. Jean Clark herself, she died some kind of way, and they named this area after her. And they wanted to continue to be a beach. We had the most beautiful beach that you can ever see. You got the white sands, the dunes. And what they're doing now, they're building these $1 million homes, over $1 million homes, on the beach now. That's what they're doing. They just taking another 22 acres of land from the residents of Benton Harbor and building these mansions right on the beach. Here's what they did also. They built the Jack Nicklaus golf course, and they took the 6th, 7th, and 8th hole and put it in on the beach. And it makes it unique because I don't know whether there are too many golf courses has any golf holes on the beach. So they took this and built it up, and Jack Nicklaus came and it was excited about the beach itself and was able to put the 6, 7, 8 hole on the beach and just to beautify. But around this golf course, they got the $300,000 condominiums. They look like big homes, but I think if you call them condominiums, you're able to put a 15-room around the golf course. I don't know the legal terms of how they did it, but they don't call them houses, homes. They call them condominiums. And 15, 20 rooms, some even as small as maybe 12 rooms. But it's around the golf course, and they're still building as we speak today. They just built a hotel, right off the waters, where you could just bring your yacht and dock it right at the hotel. But here's the bad part about that: we get no taxes from the golf courses, no taxes from the homes there, no taxes from the hotel. In 20 years, it's going to convert over to St. Joseph, Michigan. And basically, we get nothing. The residents of Benton Harbor. Let me talk a little bit about Whirlpool.
Reverend,
Whirlpool.
we're going to have to pause for a break right now, but can you stay with us for a couple more minutes on the other side? So I want you to get into that.
Okay, will do.
All right, my guest tonight is Reverend Edward Pinkney. His website is bhbanco.org, and we're going to talk to him on the other side about Whirlpool. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
They told us to pack up our bags and head south. They said that the luck of the Irish ran out. Told us they burned down our farms and our stores. They cursed us for cowards and our wives for whores. Our brother John was out prowling the field. A group of army Yankees rolled up on
In one of America's most economically depressed cities resides the world's largest producer of home appliances. Whirlpool Corporation is headquartered in Benton Harbor, Michigan, where 60% are unemployed, 90% live in poverty, and per capita income is roughly $10,000.
The citizens of Benton Harbor are living from one day to the next. They're very poor, and they're very disheartened. I mean, there's been very little effort on the part of Whirlpool that runs everything to try to involve the community.
In 2009, Whirlpool received a $19.3 million grant from the federal government, in part to create jobs.
I think our U.S. workforce, certainly factory workforce, if you will, is the best among the world. So we are very confident in the future of U.S. manufacturing for our kind of products.
1 year later, the corporation received nearly $20 million from the state of Michigan to expand its facility, which now serves as a gateway into Benton Harbor.
It's good for the community, good for the state, and good for your business as well. I tell you, there's a real art to that.
But as the U.S.-based corporation has grown globally,
now Whirlpool Frost Free.
more jobs have been outsourced to countries demanding less wages. Today, the former blue-collar community of Benton Harbor remains a victim of America's deindustrialization and growing poor population. Whirlpool has 71,000 employees around the globe, but no longer manufactures home products in its hometown. It still remains a recipient of U.S. state and federal stimulus funding.
Whirlpool just closed the factory, and that hurt my business, my little business. I lost a lot of clients. This is their home base, and it always has been. And in the beginning of the large development, they promised us that they would always be.
Due to the recession, the corporate behemoth of home appliances hasn't paid U.S. income tax since 2008. By 2010, nearly 99% of Benton Harbor residents were receiving food stamps, while Whirlpool banked approximately $18 billion in annual sales.
I think I've purchased my last Whirlpool appliance. I don't even think I'll call for a repair, because too often and for too long, those that have gotten rich has forgotten who's helped them to get there, and they're willing to step on us. And that just doesn't sit well with my soul.
A soul living in one of America's poorest cities, clothed in poverty and accessorized in corporate success. Marina Portnaya, RT, New York.
For more news, visit pigmynews.com.
This is Ozzy Skateboard, and you're listening to UCY.tv.
They told us to pack up our bags and head south. They said that the luck of the Irish ran out. Told us they burned down our farms and our stores. They cursed us for cowards and our wives for whores.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Truth on the Tracks. I'm Brandon Turbeville, your host. Tonight we are talking with Reverend Edward Pinkney. He is an activist out of Michigan. The first segment of the show we talked about his trumped-up conviction as a result of his activism in Benton Harbor, Michigan, and also his website, go check out, is bhbanco.org. That's bhbanco.org. And Reverend, before we took a break, you were going to tell us about Whirlpool. I was hoping you could continue where you left off.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Whirlpool, what they have done, they control our school system, they control our government. And when you talk about the merging of government and the corporation, we have it right here in the city of Benton Harbor. Here's the deal. They get tax breaks, don't pay any water bill, don't pay any taxes, and they have shipped the jobs overseas. And they still getting the same tax breaks that they were still there. Here's what we did. Whirlpool, when they first built that golf course, they had spliced into the water supply of the residents of Benton Harbor. And what they was getting free water. Oh, and actually what they were doing, they were stealing the water. Let's use the right words here. They were stealing water. Here how they got busted. The pipe busted. And we brought people out and they explained to people why the pipe had busted. He said someone had spliced into your water supply and was feeding water onto the golf course. Here's the deal. They claim, they admitted they did it, which they should have been arrested. But you don't arrest people when they're part of your group. You see, they arrest if I was to stole a dollar worth of water, I'll be in jail. But they stole over close to $1 million worth of water. So here's what they said. They made a deal with the commissioners, who was at that time was their people. They said, we'll give you $172,000. Now, if you're going to give us $172,000, we know that it's probably 5 times more than that. And even today, I don't even know where the city of Benton Harbor ever received that money. So now they said they're going to pump water out of the Paw Paw River. Free. You can't pump water out of the Paw Paw River. You don't own that river. So how you going to pump water out of the river? Or if you don't let us pump the water, we're going to move. My thing is, I'll help you. I'll get a team together to help y'all get out of here. You know,
well, they don't want to hit it. They've already left in terms of a lot of the labor that they shipped overseas.
All the jobs. And here's the thing, they got 4,000 people working at their home office here. Less than 0.5% live inside the city of Benton Harbor. Less than 0.5% lives inside the city of Benton Harbor, and they claim that Benton Harbor is their home. What did it say? See, that's why that income tax was so important. All these people, 4,000 at least, would have had to pay 1% of their salary. It was a no-brainer. I mean, to me, I don't see how we could not accept that. But we had people, the puppets pulling and making sure that the resident of Benton Harbor never come out of the red. That is one of the main reasons why we're in this compromising position today. Whirlpool is a cancer. You know, all they're doing is eating up this community. We used to have over 40,000 people living here. Now we got less than 10,000. They surely were taking away everything from the people. Every time there's a building available, Whirlpool get it for free. They even stole streets. It was not even in the contract for them to build this building and take the street too next to the lake. They just took it. Well, they saying, stop me if you can. I tell you, Brandon, dealing with Whirlpool, they have nothing but a bunch of criminals. You see, they're the ones who should be in jail. And let me tell you this one thing. the vice president of Whirlpool's son had committed, probably, I don't know, they had him on about 15 charges, felonies. And he came to court. They kicked everybody out of the courtroom because they didn't want people to know. But I know the system. I know what they do. They came out of there and gave him 2 misdemeanor charges out of about 15 felonies. And what's criminal about this, it shows once again how government and the corporation work together against the people. If that would have been anybody else, they'd be in prison. For him being the son of the vice president of Whirlpool, they gave him a pass.
Yeah, some people are more equal than others.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And the thing is, when will the people take a stand? See, my message is clear. It's more of us than them. Once we get that through our heads, how can we allow them to defeat us? If there's more of us, how are you going to win? You might have all the guns, but just like in Vietnam, the Vietnamese won. They didn't have nothing but sticks and bottles. And they defeated this country. But my thing is that we can win if we stick together. It don't make a difference whether you're black, white, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Chinese, Japanese, German, whatever it is. It don't make a difference. As long as we learn to work together. You see? And they always say people run fast, but they don't run long. They say most people are like quarter horses. They can only run a quarter of a mile. But we can win. We can win if we learn to work together, Brandon.
Yeah, I agree with you. And this is, I've heard somebody say it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and
that's right.
We're most definitely in this all together. And I wish more people would realize that. Just a couple more questions, if you don't mind sticking around with us.
Oh, absolutely.
When you mentioned that Whirlpool pays no water bill, what happens to the residents of Benton Harbor when they don't pay their water bill, when they can't afford it?
Well, here's how they get the land for the golf course. If you don't pay your water bill, your water get cut off. Then they condemn your house, and if you have children, they call DHS out, Department of Human Service. And in the city of Benton Harbor, since the emergency manager been there, the water had tripled. You see, but yet and still, we got a corporation, a multi-billion-dollar corporation. A multi-billion-dollar corporation not paying any water. And here's something. Fred Upton, the U.S. representative for the 6th District, is heir to Whirlpool. He's the heir to Whirlpool. He and his family, they got the McClendons, the oil barons out of Texas. I think his sister married him. So what they do now, they put their money together, and yet they won't pay a water bill. They won't pay the city of Benton Harbor any water. What they doing, they say, well, if we owe you money, prove it, take it. They know we'll move. Move then. That's what we need them to do, move. Till they get in their heads that we're not intimidated by them, they're going to continue doing what they do.
Yeah, and I think I also wish more people would understand that concept too, because we're seeing that here. I'm in South Carolina, right, and we're constantly competing for corporations to come here to bring us jobs, right? Because we're obviously suffering very very badly with this economic depression as well. But the problem is they come in, they don't pay any taxes. They pay very low wages. They're exempt from a lot of different types of regulations, and it's a race to the bottom. And they do the same thing. They come in and they say, well, if you want to make us pay a property tax like everybody else that lives here, then we'll leave. We'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what you're saying too is so important, because jobs used to be fruitful. Now what they have everybody fighting over these little crumbs. And then what it does is it splits up. It splits up the people. And some of the people is willing to fight with them and fight for them against us. That's how it's designed to do. And they knew exactly what they was doing when they did this. And remember this, let me say this. These places, I remember when it took 50 people to make one car. 50 people. Now you can make 50 cars with one person. These machines like the washer, dryer, stove, and refrigerator that Whirlpool produces. All those people that used to take to make them, where the jobs were, automation have came in and eliminated that. And that's one of the main problems that we're facing today. We have to change the way we do business. If you got let those machines buy those automobiles. Let those machines buy those washer and dryers. That'll neutralize them. See, we don't think on that level. We think that, oh, we got to have this. We should only be buying what we need. That's how we stop people like this. We'll never be able to stop them until we start working together and put a plan together. See, they get paid to do things to us. We have to go out here, and it takes us 24 hours just to eat, most of us. You see, but they're getting paid to find ways to neutralize us. Until we understand that we all in this together, it's going to continue to be a struggle. And we have to learn to do better.
Yeah, and as many of us as there are, I see a way out of it. If we could start to work together, I can see a way out of it pretty easy because we vastly outnumber them.
Oh, absolutely. Let me say this too. And I think they fear that because now all these communities, these sheriff departments, these community police departments, now they all got tanks, grenade launchers, that stuff that they were using in Vietnam when they were shooting fire, they were shooting fire at the Viet Congs and stuff like that. Now they got them in the police department, in the police stations. I mean, what do you need this for? What are you expecting? But the point is, it's haves against the have-nots. It's rich against the poor. It's a class war. And there's more of us than them. Once we understand that principle, we can defeat them. And until we do, we're going to continue to be spinning our wheels. And we got to get the word out. We can't worry about that corporate media. That's a criminal enterprise. That's what it is. But we can win, Brandon.
Well, tell us briefly, because we've only got a couple minutes left. Tell us how people can help you and what they can do to help you.
Oh, very good. Because I need to raise about $20,000 for an attorney. And I need people to do it as soon as possible. I need them to go to bhbanco.org. I have a PayPal right on there. That's bhbanco.org. You can go there. There's a PayPal there. Or you can mail a check to Banco, 1940 Union Avenue, Benton Harbor, Michigan, 49022. That's Banco, B-A-N-C-O, 1940 Union Avenue, Benton Harbor, Michigan, 49022. Or you can call me at 269-925-0001. Call me. I'll be glad to speak with you.
If there's somebody out there listening that maybe doesn't have the funds, is there anything else that you think they might be able to do in order?
They can write a letter to this judge. His name is Sterling Schrock, S-C-H-R-O-C-K. His address is 811 Port, P-O-R-T Street, St. Joseph, Michigan, 49085. And here's what I want you to say. How is it possible for a man to be convicted with no evidence and no witnesses? Can you tell me that, Your Honor? I want them to emphasize. I don't want them to write no letter, talk about leniency. When you talk about leniency, you talk about I did something wrong. I'm guilty. I'm not guilty. There's no such thing as a person being convicted without not one itty bitty weedy drop of evidence. Nothing. So that's my message, and I want to send out, and I want to send one right to the judge. I want him to know that we know exactly what you're doing, and you're not going to get away with it.
Can you give us his name and address again?
His name is Sterling, 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 Schrock, Schrock, 811 Port, Port Street, St. Joseph, Michigan, 49085. And just tell him, how could it be so?
Yeah, this is clearly a case where it should have been thrown out. It never should have went to a jury to decide anything because there was no evidence to bring you up on any charges.
Absolutely.
So let's one last time before we go here, bhbanco.org. That's bhbanco.org, and we've also got. If someone wants to mail in a donation to you, they can mail it to Banco, B-A-N-C-O, and the address I think here is 1940 Union Avenue.
That is correct.
Benton Harbor.
Benton Harbor, Michigan.
Yeah, 49022.
Yeah. That's it.
And your phone number, 269-925-0001.
That is correct.
Reverend Pinkney, thanks for coming on the show tonight, and best of luck with your struggle.
And Brandon, thank you so much, and it gave me an opportunity to really get the word out there and let them know that this fight has just begun. This, it's not over now. They think they have won, but they lost. They don't. They're the biggest losers in this fight, Brandon. Thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege. Anytime you want me on, you just call me. You got it.
Will do, and thank you for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, Monday night, Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at UCY.TV. This has been Truth on the Tracks. I'm Brandon Turbeville. We'll see you next week.
They said they hated my guts because I'm out here fighting for the future of the children and the school system, you see. And they said that what I'm doing, I'm allowing the people here to get educated on what's going on. They didn't like it. They're being paid by Whirlpool. Matter of fact, they had the PGA here, the senior PGA, and they had these ministers out selling alcohol. So you could tell the mentality of what you're dealing with here. And they fight against me, but I don't give up. You see, I fight back. That's what I believe in. It's going to get worse before it gets better because we don't see the big picture. Until we start looking at the big picture, it's going to continue on this level. It's all over the country. People don't get it. You need to stand here and fight, go toe to toe, and stand your ground. If we have to circle the wagons, let's circle the wagons, because that's what you have to do. You can't keep running, because it's not. Eventually, it's going to catch up with you. It's all over the country. Pretty soon, this whole country is going to have what they call emergency management. They're going to have it. They're going to have these billionaires coming in, displacing people. They're going to have it, whether they like it or not. Yeah, and people better wake up. You gotta fight back.
For more news, visit pigminews.com.
This is Ozzy Skateboard, and you're listening to UCY.TV.